iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. Now, if you go, just want you to know, if you go to scoutfantasy.com, my tiered rankings by the end of today will be up there. I already have my quarterbacks and my tight ends there, but I will also have my running backs and my receivers there for you. So I'm very excited about that. I want you to take a look at my visionary tiered rankings. Okay, it is preseason, right? Preseason, big weeks, week 3. To me, the most important week is week 3, okay? Not week 4. The only thing that happens week 4 is injuries. Remember that New York Giants, right? Playing your guys when you shouldn't have. But week 3 is a week that I'm looking at. And I'm going to show you what I'm looking at when I look at the box score. So first of all, I see Jay Cutler did a very good job yesterday. 5 for 8, 105 yards. Finds Devontae Parker on a 72-yard catch. But Parker had a couple of receptions. Landry had a couple of receptions. Stills had a couple of receptions. So we know what the Dolphins are doing. Jay Ajayi gets 9 carries, 53 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's going to have a great year. It's going to have a great year. I'm buying into it. I also look and see which of the reserves do I like. I saw Damian Williams. He didn't look very good at all to me. Kenyon Drake looked better, but he played against not as good guys. But I'm always interested to see how guys do against backups. Right? For Philadelphia, Torrey Smith had that 1 catch. He could do that 3 or 4 times this year. I don't think he's a very good player, but he can beat you deep. He's done it before when he was with the Ravens. You know, Zach Ertz was involved. A guy named Mac Hollins, I think, has solidified the 4th receiver there for the Eagles. Okay? So that's a guy that I looked at closely. Alshon Jeffrey catches a touchdown. You know, Blunt gets 4 carries, including a 16-yarder. Wendell Smallwood looked pretty good. So you look at the box scores and you say, who played well when given a chance? You know, Carson Wentz looked very good. Matt McGloin, good backup, no problem with him. Not that I would ever pick him in a league. I'm just saying, you know, that McGloin is better than some other teams' other backups. So God forbid something should happen to Wentz. We're okay. Carolina, Cameron Artis-Payne fighting for a job. Right? There's McCaffrey, there's Stewart. Payne really's never had that opportunity that I thought that he would have. Curtis Samuel gets 6 targets, 4 catches. They try to get him into the offense more yesterday. So watch that closely. How about the battle between Chad Henne and Blake Bortles? The whole Brandon Allen thing, that's not going to happen. So the question is now, are they willing to go with Bortles and perhaps get stuck with him for another year? Or do you go with Chad Henne this year, go with Brandon Allen as a backup, and cut Blake Bortles at season end? That's what I'd do because Blake Bortles stinks. You know it. I know it. Blake probably knows it. We saw Chris Ivory do well. Corey Grant trying to make the practice squad. Allen Robinson 2 for 50. Right? So these are things, what I'm looking on, right, for, is I'm looking to see how they did in their opportunity. Did they play well? And what does this mean for playing time? And the other thing I'm looking for is, can I get out of there unscathed? I don't want any of my guys getting injured. I just need to get through these next 2 weeks without injury. I need it. Because you get injured now, we're in big, big trouble. But I'm also filing away things, just like I said, Cameron Artis-Payne. So let's talk about him for a second. Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Stewart, absolutely 1 and 2. Right? We know that. Fozzie Whitaker may be involved, Cameron Artis-Payne, but let's say Cameron Artis-Payne gets the job as the 3rd guy. Well, I'm not going to draft him. But what I'm going to do is I file it in the recesses of my mind, and I say to myself at some point this year, if Jonathan Stewart looks like a bust, maybe I should just stash Cameron Artis-Payne, right? I look at things like that. So he'll just make my mental list. So during the weeks when I go forward and do my free agencies and my waiver wire pickups, all right, I'm not going to pick up Artis-Payne, but he did look good in the preseason. That tells me something, that there's a nugget there that this guy's good. Right? There's a nugget there that this guy's a good player. Same thing with Wendell Smallwood. Maybe he doesn't get that involved right away. Maybe it's more Blunt. Maybe it's more Sproles. But I file away the fact that Wendell Smallwood has played pretty well this preseason. So maybe he doesn't do anything early on. And I think a lot of people get impatient. We're going to talk about that as the season moves forward. Oh man, I'm 0-3. That guy I picked up really sucks. Well, that's what happens. It's fantasy football. It's fantasy football. Right? Not everybody's going to be good on every week. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. So you got to understand that right now. You got to understand that right now. Some guys start out slowly. I've said this to anybody who listen. I think Brashad Perriman's a steal. I think this guy's going to be awful the beginning part of the season. How about that? Let me go find this out for you. Brashad Perriman, right? Schedule. One moment, please. Please hold. Baltimore Ravens. So he's got a hamstring issue. He's not 100%. We know that. It may take him, I would say, to be safe by week 6. Right? So there's Cincinnati, Cleveland, Jacksonville. He's not going to go up against Jacksonville with A.J. Boye and those guys there. Pittsburgh, Oakland. Nothing ever good happens in the black hole. So coming back here in week 6 at home, maybe Brashad Perriman does something, right? So now it's week 6, week 7, week 8, week 9, bye week. By week 11, Brashad Perriman's doing some damage. But you're going to have to hold him. You're going to have to hold him. Are you prepared to hold him as long as you might need? You might not be. But that's what you're going to have to do with some players. If they don't perform as expected early on in the season, you will have to wait. Are you patient enough to wait? Most people aren't. Most people aren't. But you have to be. Because that's how you have to draft. You have to draft that way. The best players, what they do is, a lot of guys who were very successful in this field, they'll take a bunch of receivers early that they trust. And then they get a whole stack of running backs later. A whole slew of them. And they wait, and they wait, and they wait, and they wait, and they wait until one of them does something good. Right? You wait on Devonta Booker. You wait on Joe Williams. So what you do is, how about something like this? How about you draft R. Kelly and maybe Jacquizz Rodgers to get you through the first 3 weeks, and then you draft your Devontae Bookers of the world and the Joe Williamses of the world and the Jamal Williamses of the world, who probably will start playing week 4 or week 5. That's a really smart draft. That's thinking. That's layered thinking. R. Kelly is a dog with fleas. Guy's terrible. But you know what? He's going to have that job. They've said as much. They've said as much. So, their bye week is week 5. You don't think R. Kelly is going to be the starter for the first 4 weeks? I know I do. But maybe week 6, you start to see Samaje Perine. Do you see what I'm saying? You see how that goes? How about the Buccaneers? Everybody likes Doug Martin, but don't forget Jacquizz Rodgers at Miami versus Chicago at Minnesota. You're going to see the quiz. Okay? So are you patient enough to wait on these players that you're going to have to wait on? Most people aren't. Most people are not patient enough. What have you done for me now? What have you done for me lately? I'm going to cut you. You suck. Shouldn't you have known they sucked? Seriously. Shouldn't you have known? Right? They're not great players, but you got to hold them. You got to hold them because they may become great players. You know, I always say this. You divide a football season into quarters. First four, next four, last four. Win a championship. Put it all together, win a championship. Do you understand what I'm saying here? You put them all together, you win a championship. But the guys who win it for you in the first 4 weeks and the guys who win it for you in the last 4 weeks may be completely different people. That's to be expected. Completely different people. I believe that. I really do. So, are you patient enough to hold the guys, and are you smart enough to find the guys now in preseason who will give you that advantage later on? Okay? So let's look at certain things. So let's see. The schedule. All right, tonight, New England at Detroit, Kansas City at Seattle, Buffalo at Baltimore. I'm interested in seeing that game. I'm interested in seeing how Zay Jones does, how LaShawn McCoy does. How about Max with 2 X's Williams? The Jets-Giants always play preseason number 3. It's how they roll. How does Paul Perkins look? How is Shane Vereen? How is Robbie Anderson? Is Matt Forte doing anything? Arizona, Atlanta, John Brown. Who's the real number 2 there? For Atlanta, who's going to be the guy there besides Tevin Coleman and Freeman? Is there another running back there to watch? Indianapolis, Pittsburgh. How is James Conner doing? How is Marlon Mack doing? Marlon Mack and James Conner, 2 guys that are probably going to go in like rounds 13, 14, 15 of your draft, but they might be worth something. They might be worth something. Right? Cleveland, Tampa Bay. How's Deshaun Kaiser doing? How's Jameis doing? How's O.J. Howard progressing? The Chargers at the Rams. Is Todd Gurley for real? Do I believe in Sammy Watkins and Jared Goff? Houston at New Orleans. Is Deshaun Watson progressing? What about Alvin Kamara? Where's he going in drafts? Alvin Kamara is probably a guy who's going to go in like round 9, 10 when we get to Vegas. I promise you that. Oakland and Dallas. How's McFadden? How's Alfred Morris? What about Jalen Richard and DeAndre and Washington? God forbid something happens to Marshawn Lynch. Who's the viable backup for Oakland? Green Bay and Denver. What about D'Angelo Henderson? What's going on in Green Bay with Jamal Williams? So these are all questions I have for this preseason week, right? More matchups, Chicago, Tennessee. How is Tariq Cohen? How fast is he? Who is Mike Glennon throwing to? How does Mariota look? Cincinnati, Washington. Tyler Boyd? John Ross? What's going on there? P. Ryan, is he feeling more confident or is he going to choke like he did in week 1? San Francisco, Minnesota. How good is Dalvin Cook? Is Stephon Diggs healthy? Is Carlos Hyde the lead back? When are they playing Joe Williams? Are they waiting till the 3rd quarter or are they bringing him in the beginning of the 2nd? These are nuggets that you have to be thinking about. You have to be. You want to win your fantasy football league, you got to be thinking about these things. Because if you're not, somebody else in your league is. See, that's the thing. If you're not thinking about these things, somebody else in your league is. Because when you play high-stakes fantasy football, this is not playing your Hooters Home League, guys. It's not. Hooters Home League, I can guarantee you 2 of your dudes at your draft are drunk. 2 of them have been so busy with homework work that they haven't looked at anything. They have last year's draft magazine. So there's only like 4 or 5 teams in your league are any good. But high stakes? Nobody's dropping that kind of money to suck. So it's a question of good, very good, and oh my God, this guy's really good. So you can't bring a knife to a gunfight. You will lose. So you better get with it if you're playing high-stakes fantasy football. Because unless you're my rich friend, I don't want to see you piss your money away. So you've got to be on top of things. Be on top of the information. Watch those game rewinds closely. Read the articles. Follow the beat writers. Listen to the best experts out there. Let's understand how preseason can help us. But, it's not everything. It's not everything. Don't just say, this guy had a crappy preseason, he sucks. That's not always the case either. Some guys hate preseason. I know I would hate preseason. I would hate it. Especially if I was one of the top players on the team, I'd be like, I just don't want to get hurt. I just don't want anything to happen to me in preseason. Why do I have to be here? I'd give like 60% effort. When the lights are on, I'd give 160. Because I just don't want to get hurt. Now, practice during the week, I get that. You work hard in practice. You practice well, you play well. But preseason, you already know you're giving me a job. You already know I'm good. I'm not trying to be the fourth guy becoming the third. So I get why guys don't work that hard in preseason. But these guys should know their own bodies and know what it takes to get ready for the year. So once again, this is a very big weekend. Pay close attention. Don't miss anything. From this day forward until the end of the season, I want you to be hyper vigilant. Every piece of information. What does it mean? What does it mean for some other guy? What does it mean for a ripple effect? What does it mean? I want to know. I want to know what it means for everything. Very important. You want to win your league, guys. This is how you do it. Or you listen to guys like me who know how to do it. Right? Who can dissect the information for you. Who can process it and apply it. Because that's the key to fantasy football. Taking that piece of information, processing what it means, and applying it to your teams. If you do that, you will win. Can't guarantee it, but you'll be in a position to win. That's the best way to say it. You'll be in a position to win. And I want you to be in a position to win when you go to playffwc.com. When you get to the draft lobby, there are many drafts to choose from. You could be drafting at any point. My draft is already sold out for Sunday, but I've got one next Thursday night. Beat Dr. Roto Online Championship, 11 p.m. The wives are asleep. The kids are asleep. But we're awake and we're drafting football. So come join. Should be a great time. Best payouts in the industry. Awesome customer service, reliable customer service, easy to use draft room, no trading to screw up your leagues. Okay? So I want you to promise me you're going to pay close attention this week. When we come back next week, we'll take in an intake of what we learned, what's going on, how it's going to help us. But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Remember, I'm on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 7 to 9 Saturday mornings. I've got a special guest tomorrow at 8 o'clock. My man Scott Atkins, the GM from Scout Fantasy, will be there. We'll be talking up the main event to see who will be the Fantasy Football World Champion. All right, guys, wishing you a great day. Be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!